is San Francisco's notorious Zodiac killer.
Rendezvous with San Francisco's Zodiac killer.
Did the Zodiac killer
get the Zodiac serial killer?
Zodiac, a symbol that now stands for terror in San Francisco.
Welcome to Fate. We all must have heard the spine-chilling name, the person who draws a thin line between reality and crime thriller movies. The Zodiac Killer, with 5 confirmed cases and 2 attempted to murder, this serial killer is yet to be identified properly. The Zodiac himself once claimed to have murdered 37 victims, and he has been linked to several other cold cases. He operated in North California. Investigators agree on only 7 confirmed victims, 2 of whom survived. They are David Arthur Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, shot and killed on December 20, 1968, on Lake Herman Road, within the city limits of Benicia. Michael Reynald Mageau, 19, and Darlene Elizabeth Farron, 22, shot on July 4, 1969, in the parking lot of Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. While Mageau survived the attack, Farron was pronounced dead on arrival at Kaiser Foundation Hospital. Brian Calvin Hartnell, 20, and Cecilia Ann Shepard, 22, stabbed on September 27, 1969, at Lake Berryessa in Napa County. Hartnell survived 8 stab wounds to the back, but Shepard died as a result of her injuries on September 29, 1969. Paul Lee Stein, 29, shot and killed on October 11, 1969, in the Presidio Heights neighborhood in San Francisco. Lake Herman Road murders. David Arthur Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen. The first murders widely attributed to the Zodiac Killer were the shootings of high school students Betty Lou Jensen and David Arthur Faraday on December 20, 1968, on Lake Herman Road, just inside Benicia city limits. The couple were on their first date and planned driving out on Lake Herman Road. At about 10:15 p.m., Faraday parked his mother's Rambler in a gravel turnout, which was a well-known lover's lane. Shortly after 11 p.m., their bodies were found by Stella Borges, who lived nearby. The Solano County Sheriff's Department investigated the crime but no leads developed. Utilizing available forensic data, Robert Graysmith postulated that another car pulled into the turnout, just prior to 11 p.m. and parked beside the couple. The killer apparently exited the second car and walked toward the Rambler, possibly ordering the couple out of the Rambler. Jensen appeared to have exited the car first, yet when Faraday was halfway out, the killer apparently shot him in the head. The killer then shot Jensen 5 times in the back as she fled. Her body was found 28 feet from the car. The killer then drove off. Rock Springs murder. Just before midnight on July 4, 1969, Darlene Farron and Michael Mageau drove into the Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo, 6.4 kilometers from the Lake Herman Road murder site, and parked. While the couple sat in Farron's car, a second car drove into the lot and parked alongside them but almost immediately drove away. Returning about 10 minutes later, this second car parked behind them. The driver of the second car then exited the vehicle, approaching the passenger side door of Farron's car, carrying a flashlight and a 9mm Luger. The killer directed the flashlight into Mageau's and Farron's eyes before shooting at them, firing 5 times. Both victims were hit, and several bullets had passed through Mageau and into Farron. The killer walked away from the car but upon hearing Mageau's moaning, returned and shot each victim twice more before driving off. On July 5, 1969, at 12:40 a.m., a man phoned the Vallejo Police Department to report and claim responsibility for the attack. The caller also took credit for the murders of Jensen and Faraday 6.5 months earlier. Police traced the call to a phone booth at a gas station at Springs Road and Tuolumne, located about 500 meters from Farron's home and only a few blocks from the Vallejo Police Department. Farron was pronounced dead at the hospital. Majo survived the attack despite being shot in the face, neck, and chest. Majo described his attacker as a 26 to 30-year-old, 88 to 91 kilograms, or possibly even more, 5 foot 8 inch. White male with short, light brown curly hair. First letters from the Zodiac. I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all to kill. Something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. The best part of it is that when I die I will be reborn in paradise, and the people I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow me down, or stop my collection of slaves for my afterlife. Ebirayat Methapiti. The solution to Zodiac's 408 symbol cipher, including faithful transliterations of spelling and grammar errors in the original. The meaning, if any, of the final 18 letters has not been determined. On August 1, 1969, 3 letters prepared by the killer were received at the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner. The nearly identical letters, subsequently described by a psychiatrist to have been written by someone you would expect to be brooding and isolated, took credit for the shootings at Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs. Each letter also included 1/3 of a 408 symbol cryptogram which the killer claimed contained his identity. The killer demanded they be printed on each paper's front page or he would go around all weekend killing lone people in the night, then move on to kill again, until I end up with a dozen people over the weekend. The Chronicle published its third of the cryptogram on page 4 of the next day's edition. An article printed alongside the code quoted Vallejo Police Chief Jackie Stilts as saying, "We're not satisfied that the letter was written by the murderer," and requested the writer send a second letter with more facts to prove his identity. The threatened murders did not happen, and all 3 parts were eventually published. On August 7, 1969, another letter was received at the San Francisco Examiner with the salutation, "Dear editor, this is the Zodiac speaking." This was the first time the killer had used this name for identification. The letter was a response to Chief Stilts' request for more details that would prove he had killed Faraday, Jensen, and Farron. In it, the Zodiac included details about the murders which had not yet been released to the public, as well as a message to the police that when they cracked his code they will have me. On August 8, 1969, Donald and Betty Harden of Salinas, California, cracked the 408 symbol cryptogram. It contained a misspelled message in which the killer seemed to reference the most dangerous game. The author also said he was collecting slaves for his afterlife. No name appears in this decoded text, and the killer said that he would not give away his identity because it would slow down or stop his slave collection. Lake Berryessa murder. A view of Lake Berryessa. On September 27, 1969, Pacific Union College students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking at Lake Berryessa on a small island connected by a sand spit to Twin Oak Ridge. A white man, about 5 feet 11 inches, weighing more than 77 kilograms, with greasy brown hair, approached them wearing a black executioner's type hood with clip-on sunglasses over the eye holes and a bib-like device on his chest that had a white cross circle symbol on it. He approached them with a gun, which Hartnell believed to be a .45. The hooded man claimed to be an escaped convict from a jail. The inscription left by the Zodiac killer on the door of Hartnell's vehicle. He had brought pre-cut lengths of plastic clothesline and told Shepard to tie up Hartnell, before he tied her up. The killer checked, and tightened Hartnell's bonds after discovering Shepard had bound Hartnell's hands loosely. Hartnell initially believed this event to be a bizarre robbery, but the man drew a knife and stabbed them both repeatedly, Hartnell suffering 6 and Shepard 10 wounds in the process. The killer then hiked, 460 meters, back up to Knoxville Road, drew the cross-circle symbol on Hartnell's car door with a black felt-tip pen, and wrote beneath it, Vallejo/12, 2068/7, 4, 69/September, 2769, 6:30 by knife. At 7:40 p.m., the killer called the Napa County Sheriff's Office from a pay telephone to report this latest crime. The caller first stated to the operator that he wished to report a murder, no, a double murder, before stating that he had been the perpetrator of the crime. The phone was found, still off the hook, minutes later at the Napa Car Wash on Main Street in Napa, only a few blocks from the sheriff's office, yet 43 kilometers from the crime scene. Detectives were able to lift a still wet palm print from the telephone but were never able to match it to any suspect. Hartnell and Shepard were taken to Queen of the Valley Hospital in Napa by ambulance. Shepard lapsed into a coma during transport to the hospital and never regained consciousness. She died 2 days later, but Hartnell survived to recount his tale to the press. Presidio Heights murder. San Francisco from the Presidio, 1966. 2 weeks later on October 11, 1969, a white male passenger entered the cab driven by Paul Stein at the intersection of Mason and Geary Streets, 1 block west from Union Square, in San Francisco, requesting to be taken to Washington and Maple Streets in Presidio Heights. For reasons unknown, Stein drove 1 block past Maple to Cherry Street. The passenger then shot Stein once in the head with a 9mm, took Stein's wallet and car keys, and tore away a section of Stein's blood-stained shirt tail. This passenger was observed by 3 teenagers across the street at 9:55 p.m., who called the police while the crime was in progress. They observed a man wiping the cab down before walking away towards the Presidio, 1 block to the north. 2 blocks from the crime scene. Patrol officers Don Falk and Eric Zelms, responding to the call, observed a white man walking along the sidewalk east on Jackson Street and stepping onto a stairway leading up to the front yard of one of the homes on the north side of the street. The encounter lasted only 5 to 10 seconds. Falk estimated the white male pedestrian to be 35 to 45 years old, 5 feet 10 inches tall with a crew cut, similar to but slightly older than the description of the teenagers who observed the killer in and out of Stein's cab as a 25 to 30-year-old crooked white male about 5 foot 8 inch to 5 foot 9 inch tall. The police radio dispatcher had however initially alerted officers to be on the lookout for a black suspect, so Falk and Zelms drove past him without stopping. The mix-up in descriptions remains unexplained. A search ensued, but no suspects were found. This was the last officially confirmed murder by the Zodiac killer. The Stein murder was initially believed to be a routine robbery that had escalated into homicidal violence. More letters. I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show. Which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber. Because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. Because I now have enough slaves to work for me. Where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise. So they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I know that my new life is. Life will be an easy one in paradise. Death. The solution to Zodiac's 340 symbol cipher, solved in December 2020, corrected for most errors, excluding the distinctive spelling of paradise. On November 8, 1969, the Zodiac mailed a card with another cryptogram, consisting of 340 characters. The cipher, dubbed Z340, remained unsolved for over 51 years. On December 5, 2020, it was deciphered by an international team of private citizens, including American software engineer David Oranjuk, Australian mathematician Sam Blake and Belgian programmer Jarl van Eyck. The Zodiac Killer is one of America's greatest unsolved murder cases. With killings starting in December of 1968 and continuing through October of the following year, the Zodiac was one of America's most prolific killers. After looking at each piece of source material, we still can't answer the age-old question of who the Zodiac actually was, but we can better our own investigations by looking at material that can be trusted. Whether it's researching the Zodiac Killer or other topics, trustworthy source material is a must for any research. And remember, What's meant to be will always find a way.